whether it's like Lana Del Rey or, I don't know, or a boy in the bus station or a model wearing a Prada outfit, everybody will just do something that's amazing. You just have to watch them. Hello, my name is Jamie Hawkesworth. I'm a photographer and I'm here to talk about Preston Bus Station, a project that I started in 2011 and I finished in 2016. We're at Rapid Eye in East London. I've been here 10 years printing. So I originally was studying in Preston. I studied a forensic science course and we would go in on a Friday morning and collect evidence and then very objectively document that evidence with a camera. And that's basically how I got into photography. So I immediately quit the forensics course and changed to photography, and I just completely fell in love with taking pictures, really. And I became very good friends with my photography tutor, and he basically asked me back to Preston to spend one weekend making a newspaper about Preston Bus Station. And then I found out that the bus station was going to be demolished, so then I moved back to Preston to continue taking pictures. It's a beautiful, beautiful building in the north of England. It's just such a special place because it's also the centre for the megabus. So you had people from all over the country moving through this one space. The boy on the cover is probably up there with one of my favourite pictures of the whole project. And it was really interesting because I was kind of walking around the back end of the bus station and the sun came through the window and hit this boy's hair from behind and kind of lit him up like an angel. And I remember I was like, bloody hell. So I ran all the way down one side of the bus station and was like, mate, don't move. Please, can I take your portrait? And he was like, sure. And I took his picture and it was just, I can see the effect of light on someone. You very rarely look at light. On one side of the bus station, you had all this beautiful north-facing light, and then on the other side of the bus station, you had beautiful sun when it came out. When this picture's printed big, it's like I think his hair was ginger, so it looks like it's on fire. A massive part of printing Preston Bus Station was that in reality it was cold. It was a cold bus station. So when I brought the negatives back, I started to just really warm up my prints because I just wanted them to feel really optimistic. So the most important thing about this book, I think, is that in terms of colour, there's just an optimism that runs through because I was just so excited to be there. This picture's always been a really favourite of mine because, again, being at the mercy of chance and never knowing what you're going to come across. I think I took this picture in January, February, and she's wearing a Christmas outfit. You know, I couldn't make that up. I couldn't sit down and be like, okay, I want to take a portrait of a girl wearing a bright red outfit with a gold dress and a fluffy hat. And you just walk around the corner and there it is. Benjamin Bruno, for example, who's a French stylist, he saw a lot of my pictures of kind of kids from around that time. So we took a bag of clothes up to Newcastle to begin with. And that was one of my very first fashion shoots, and it was like the penny dropped where we basically stopped people in the street, asked to take their portrait, asked them to wear these clothes. It seems so obvious and simple, but seeing a kid in a shiny tinsel jumper that somebody had made suddenly transformed his character and took him somewhere completely different. And that was when I really realised the kind of strength of fashion photography, where you can just do anything for no reason. I can put a turnip on your head for no reason, and it can just be for the joy of just sort of experimenting. And that kind of led me on a sort of journey through fashion. Maybe a year ago now, I got commissioned by American Vogue to photograph Emma Corrin. At the time, I was in Ipswich at a theatre company that I used to go to when I was a kid. And I was just really intrigued by costumes. And I walked around this place and there was some lobster costumes that had been made out of curtains. And it kind of blew my mind. I was like, I have to get those into a fashion shoot. And basically, we took this picture of Emma wearing a lobster costume that the stylist handmade, and it ran in the magazine. It was just a wonderful example of like a very strange idea. And it just had the right amount of sense of humour. Funnily enough, it was in a train station. Yeah, not a bus station, but a train station. And it had huge windows, just like Preston Bus Station, exactly the same. And it's funny, because when I walk into a place, I think it's like a 15th at F11 on the light meter, I'm like, that's exactly like, that's the same light as Preston Bus Station. This is another favourite image of mine, of a girl wearing a Sainsbury's uniform. And I think the reason I like this so much is because Sainsbury's is such a familiar place to us, to me. It's just really nice to take a moment to appreciate someone who works at Sainsbury's who's waiting for the bus to go to work or to go home. I guess it is a sort of direct door from this project to the Key Worker project. And yeah, I just cycled around for I think 2 weeks all over London photographing key workers. Edward called me and was like, do you want to do this project? And I was like, yeah. And I used obviously the same camera and that lens again. I mean, the best thing about this camera is that it's, once you take the lens off and the back off, it's literally just a box. So there's no mechanics, no batteries, nothing. I just love the idea that I'm just using this kind of box. So my other favourite picture from this project is of this woman. And the reason I love this picture, other than her watch and her hair, was that when we had the show in the Preston Bus Station, we blew this image up massive. And she came with her granddaughter and saw the picture on the wall, and she just got quite emotional and couldn't quite believe that she was just waiting for the bus and then had her picture blown up on the bus station. So it was kind of a full circle moment where truly it was about appreciating someone just waiting for the bus, and she couldn't believe it. Everybody does something. If you just look at them and you're just observant, someone will just do an odd thing with their elbow or their chin, or the way their haircut is, or the way they wear their hat, the way their collar is, somebody's shoe, or a loaf of bread, or the way a curve in a chair. I just got really inspired by stuff, whether it's like Lana Del Rey, or a boy in the bus station, or a model wearing a Prada outfit. Everybody will just do something that's amazing. You just have to watch them. And then kind of lean into that. And that's kind of what I think I kind of try and hold on to now. With Kate Moss, for example, one of the commissions came up of photographing her, and it was for the cover of British Vogue, and I was like, can I go and meet her on holiday, just me? And we'll take a bag of clothes and we'll just sort of see what happens. And obviously because it's Kate Moss and there's that whole history and narrative there, they were like, yeah, sure, because it's a sort of slightly different approach kind of thing. You know, there was no hair and makeup, it was just, we woke up in the morning, we walked on the beach, I took some pictures, and then for an hour, and that was it. You know, it's obviously very obvious, but that's just me trying so desperately to try and hold on to something really simple. I think ultimately not the trick, but the thing that I sort of tell myself is I'm just doing it for myself. You just kind of hold on to that one little thing that kind of gets you incredibly excited, and you sort of just have to kind of hold on to that.
Take one.
Before I moved to London, I moved back home, and my dad was like, why don't you go show your portfolio to the local photography shop, just to get some advice. And I showed him, basically, for my final project, I took portraits of people and still life of stuff I found on the street. And I showed that to this guy, and he was like, I don't know what the hell your university is teaching you, but you're not going to get anywhere photographing people on the street and just stuff that we see every day.